Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Truth Shots with Kapil. Today we are going to delve deep into the underbelly of India. And you know what I find when I look at the underbelly of India? Corruption. Today the topic is normalizing corruption. And I'm not necessarily looking at normalizing corruption, but I want to give everyone who is listening to this a background behind corruption. You know why corruption exists in our country? Let me first start off with the baseline of it. Every individual, to get to a certain level, has to make a certain kind of investment irrespective of where they live. In our country, that investment has a huge portion of black money that people have to pay, of bribes that people have to pay, of corruption money that people have to pay. I'm not just talking about the heavy fees and other things. For example, in Delhi, for you to first enter a child into a good school, you end up paying some money. For them to then, go on, participate in certain events, do other things in life, clear competitive exams, get admitted to new good colleges, you again end up paying money. Then for you to take up a government job, which essentially means you will get pension for life, you end up paying more money. Everybody, number one, has to look out for how do they get that money back. Let me actually not even talk about professionals in this case. An MLA election in our country costs somewhere between 3 to 5 crore rupees. A member of parliament costs between 15 to 20 crores. Now everybody who is investing that kind of money, either yourself or somebody else who is investing on your behalf, first has to look out for where is the return on investment. And that for me is the baseline of where corruption starts in our country. Unless we are able to do something about this baseline, we can't really expect, whether it is a government official, whether it is a MLA, whether it is a member of parliament, whether it is a minister, we can't really expect anybody to stop it. They have to, because they have made investments and it's all about return on investment. They are not necessarily doing corruption. They are doing corruption to make themselves rich. I don't mean to suggest they don't. But it starts from this basic reality of how we are structured as a society. There is, of course, greed that is associated with it, which essentially means people want to get richer and richer, and money is looked upon as the basic tenet of power. Another important aspect that you should look at is unequal pay structure. Do people in the government get similar salaries, similar pay structures as people in private organizations? And if they don't, how do they make up for it? And that's another reason why corruption comes into play. Now, I've talked about why corruption is there and how it exists. Why does it not go away? Well, it doesn't go away, in my opinion, for two reasons. Number one, there is normalized, accepted reality about corruption, which is where each one of us continues to engage in it at the basic level. See, there is a huge difference. A lot of you must be saying, but the corruption is reality of life. You go to US, you go to Canada, you go to New Zealand, you go to Australia, you go to UK, wherever in the world you go, there is corruption at certain level that exists. The problem is, in most countries, corruption exists at the top level. Corruption exists in larger decisions. Corruption in a lot of Western countries, in a lot of developed countries, do not exist at your and my level. I, as an individual, can choose to live my life in a lot of these countries without engaging into any corruption. I can continue to, follow traffic laws. I can continue to pay my taxes on time. I can continue to do the basic stuff right. And I don't have to engage in corruption. The reality in India, what makes it extremely difficult, is this pervasiveness of corruption. I cannot live my life, and I challenge everybody who thinks otherwise. I cannot live my life without engaging into some form of corruption. Because tomorrow I will be driving and a cop will catch me on the street and all he wants is for me to pay him something. An income tax officer will come and he will look at my books and says, sir, everything is fine, but आया हूं तो कुछ तो लेके जाऊंगा ही. If I have come, I have to take something. And so on and so forth, and I can give you 20 different examples. I'm sure most of you know. By the way, that doesn't take away the responsibility from each one of you to engage in corruption only where it is absolutely required if you care about it. If you don't care about it, be my guest, do whatever you want to. But if you care about it, what you need to do is to stop engaging in corruption at the basic levels. For example, most of the times, instead of paying a cop, 500 rupees if he catches me, I will rather take a ticket for 1,000 rupees. Instead of paying income tax officer 2,000 rupees, to stop some challan that has to come in my name, I will rather pay the 5,000 rupees of the challan. So these are some of the things that we can all continue to look at as we look at reducing corruption in our everyday life. More importantly, it is about how do we bring up our kids? What are we telling them? How do we deal in front of them? Are we the ones who every time a cop stops us on the traffic light pays the cop? Are we the ones who every time somebody comes home we pay bribe on whatever is required? Are we the ones that got our kids admitted to school by paying corruption money? Are we the ones that at every place continue to use money as bribes for getting done what the kid requires? That basic requirement, that basic approach to how are we bringing our kids up is extremely important as we think about corruption, specifically in the context of India. Now, so much for corruption at your and my level. One basic problem in India is lack of follow through. And corruption at every fucking level. There is corruption in the government, there is corruption in the judiciary, there is corruption in law and order, there is corruption in the polity, there is corruption across all levels. And there is no follow through. Look at the current case of Vodafone and Idea. They owe the government a few lakh crores. Now, why do they owe the government a few lakh crores? Why was nobody following up? How did they get these loans that they have gotten? And this is the same question that we asked earlier when we talked about the Vijay Mallya's of the world, when we talked about the Nirav Modi's of the world, when we talked about the Mehul Choksi's of the world, and so on and so forth. How did these people end up getting this kind of loans? And the reality and true reality of all this is they all paid their way through it. It was all done in cahoots with the big banks. The big banks were able to do it because it was done in cahoots with the other departments. The other departments were able to do it because it was done in cahoots with law and order, judiciary, polity, and you get the picture. That lack of follow through really hurts us as a country. Now, while I say all this, let me also say, I'm not against corruption of all kinds. See, in some ways, corruption is the reality of life in a lot of cases. Specifically in polity, I like to divide corruption as corruption for positive change versus corruption for the sake of corruption. Let me take 2G scam as an example. My sincere assertion is we as a country will not be sitting with the telecom revolution that we saw in the early 2000s if it was not for the 2G scam. We as a country would not have seen the telecom rates go down as much, the pervasiveness of telecom be as much, which is, by the way, the key reason of any kind of development and any kind of progress that has happened in India over the last 1 or 2 decades. So, in a lot of ways, corruption needs to be defined as positive corruption, which is implementing something good, at least making shit happen, giving growth to the country, or negative corruption, which is corruption just for the heck of it. For example, giving money to some of these people, being the loan givers as banks, being people who indulge in various other kinds of scams, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so I guess we all need to make our choice. Corruption is the reality. It's not going away anywhere. The question that I want to ask is, can we reduce this? Can we change it such that it doesn't impact the life of a normal man or a normal woman or a normal citizen who does not want to engage in corruption, who wants to live their life more peacefully, who wants to live their life with whatever the ethic codes and morals and integrity that they have. I for one would love to be in that state. To the extent possible, I try not to, but nowhere am I going to suggest that I have never indulged in corruption. I have paid government officers, I have paid other people whenever it has gotten to a situation where I have no other way out. I can talk about the specific cases, not really on Two Shots with Kapil, because it becomes problematic. But anybody who wants to discuss anything of that sort, please feel free to message, talk to me, and we can take it further from there. With that, we come to an episode of this episode of Two Shots with Kapil. Have a nice day. See you next time.